What's up, guys? Sergeant Suds here, out here at the Pedernales Brewing Company in Fredericksburg, Texas. About an hour out of San Antonio, out here in the Hill Country. And I'm here with Lee, who's going to walk us through a couple of the beers they have here at Pedernales.
Very good. Thank you for coming out today. The first beer that we're going to have you taste is our newest beer. It's Robert Earl Keene River Raft Beer.
Cool.
And it is a session pilsner. It's a throwback to the session beers that were made in England during World War II.
Oh, wow.
So it's only 4% alcohol. That was the limit. And it's 14 IBUs. It's a classic Eastern European style pilsner. We use the Hallertau and Tettnang hops with this, and some Czech Saaz hops. And of course the Weihenstephaner yeast, and then the two-row pilsner malt. So let me know what you think about it. It's a nice light sessional pilsner beer.
It's got a nice kind of bit of a malty smell to it here, and that's quite nice.
Very refreshing.
It's got a very, very light mouthfeel to it, but it's got like a little bit of a creaminess almost. And the flavor, again, the malts are sort of the big flavor coming through, but it's not crazy, you know. Around this time of year, obviously Octoberfest beer is coming out. You know, with the Marzens, you get those toasted malts really powerful, but this has got like a nice, creamy little balance on it. It's quite a nice beer, and at 4%, I think you could string quite a few of these together in one afternoon.
Well, we wanted to make a beer that you can drink several of, you know, because with a lot of the craft beers and the higher, you know, heavier malts, you can only drink 2 or 3 and it feels like you had a loaf of bread.
Right.
You know, with the River Raft, that's a beer that you can drink all day, and you know, you can't drink beer all day unless you start in the morning.
Well, and you know, whether it was out on the river, you know, here in the Hill Country, or you know, just at a cookout someplace, I mean, I feel like this is the kind of beer you could really drink anywhere.
Oh, I agree with you completely. This next beer is our #1 selling beer. This is the Robert Earl Keene Honey Pils. And this is a special pilsner that we made. You're going to see, normally with pilsners, they have a color that's lighter, more like the River Raft. This one has a deeper color because we use Staines honey from Lano, Texas, about 40 miles north.
Okay.
And then also, 20% of the grain bill is a specialty malt called honey malt.
Okay.
And so this beer creates kind of a nasal illusion, particularly if you have it in a wine glass, where you really get the aromas, because you can smell honey. And so your nose is going, I smell honey.
Right.
And your brain's saying, oh, it must be sweet. And your taste buds go, no, not really.
Right.
So let me have you try that. It's a really nice, it's got a beautiful depth of flavor.
So I see what you're saying, and I'm glad of what you were saying there, because personally, I am not a huge honey fan in the scheme of things, but I mean, this smells like kind of like a dessert or something. You know, you get a little bit of
nice wildflower in there.
Mm-hmm. Let's see how it tastes. Wow. That's pretty good. You know, it's got just the tiniest hint of the sweetness, and I can taste just a little bit.
That's the malty quality.
And it's not overpowering, you know. And then you see sometimes, I mean, with fruit beers, sometimes you know you get a little too much, and the balance is a little difficult. But this is nice, and again, it's mostly malt. It's got that little tiny sweetness to it. Yeah, this is pretty good.
We've entered this beer in 4 national and international competitions in the honey categories. And so far, it's won 3 silvers and a gold. So
it's pretty good.
It's doing pretty well in the honey category.
Seems like you guys are winning a lot of awards left, right, and center.
We have been so incredibly blessed. In the last 40 months, we've entered 20 of the largest beer competitions in the world. We've won 29 golds, 20 silver, 9 bronze, and 2 Best of Show awards with 10 different beers. And if you come here and you only want to drink gold medal winning beers, we can only offer you 9.
Not bad, and the view to go with it, so there you go, right?
Well, all right, let me get a couple more.
Sounds good.
Okay, on this next round, the first beer that we're going to have you taste is our Lobo Texas Lager. Lobo Texas Lager was one of the first 2 beers that we made. This beer was one of the recipes that I purchased from a brewery consultant, and this recipe dates back to 1910 from the St. Louis area.
Oh, wow.
So this is a pre-Prohibition American lager. Again, we went, because almost all of our beers, well, every beer we make except for Honey Pils is Reinheitsgebot.
Okay.
We're a Reinheitsgebot house. And so this beer is barley, hops, yeast, and water, but again, it's the Weihenstephaner yeast. We're using the 2-row Pilsen malt, and then again, we're coming back with the Tettnang, Hallertau, and some Czech Saaz hops. This beer comes across at 5% ABV, 22 IBU. I think you'll like the crispness.
Yeah. I'll tell you, everything you're saying right now, I'm just thinking that's the German heritage coming through right there.
Absolutely. Well, we're in Fredericksburg.
That was really nice.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it's got it's nice and thin again. You know, but it's got this kind of like a little bit of a punch to it. You know, the malt comes through, and then you get that little bit of hops, but it's not like prohibitively bitter. It's like a nice, easy, you know, I guess you said 20 IBU, 22 IBU?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get a little bit to know it's there, but it's not like, you know, punching you out either. So
exactly.
That's pretty good.
It's a great beer with tailgate party food.
Oh, yeah.
If you're doing chicken wings or burgers or brats or pizzas, this is a terrific beer for that because that little hoppiness in the finish cleans and refreshes your palate.
I'm thinking a steak and a baked potato.
Well, I've got more.
Yeah.
Now, this next beer is the Robert Earl Keen Front Porch Amber Ale.
Okay.
And we chose to go with the more European version of Amber Ale. Rather than hop it up, we want to really accentuate the nice malty belly in this and then bring the hop level up to just enough that it balances.
Right.
So this one's coming in at 5 ABV and 20 IBUs. And I don't know the exact malt mix on this, but there's, I think, 3 different malts in this beer.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, just having a sniff of it there, as you were saying, you can tell the difference. You know, with the European style, you get the kind of toasted malty kind of turns going in, but it's not like a hop fest in there. Right. So.
And this beer is much better with food than the hoppier styles. This is great with roasted pork.
Oh yeah. Yeah, again, guys, like if you like the Mosin style, something like that, and you like something with the toasted malts, this is a great brew. And as we were just saying, because it doesn't have that crazy bitterness to it, it's one of those things that you can kind of apply to many situations, and it's more of a complimentary thing than necessarily having to be the star of the show. And realistically, that kind of makes it the star in my eyes.
Exactly. Well, in our journey with beer, because I'm a hardcore foodie, and so we really like to emphasize beers that go with food. And if your beer overpowers the food, then that wasn't a good match.
Right.
And so in our belief system, we're trying to balance the hops and the malts so that we can then use them both in cooking with food and drinking with food, so that you've got this seamless transition. And if we do it right, you can't tell where the food flavor stopped and the beer flavor started.
Yeah, and
so that's the goal.
Well, and you know, having grown up in Australia, it's been a lot of time. In Europe, you know, I'm more used to this kind of beer, and you know, the craft beer market, there's plenty of great stuff out there. But I feel like American craft beer at the moment is so hop crazy.
It is.
And 9 times out of 10, it's a little too much for me. But I'm loving everything I've had so far.
Very good. I'll bring the next 2.
Sounds good.
All right. So the next 2 beers that we're bringing out for you is our Lobo Octoberfest, and this is a Marzen style Octoberfest. This beer has been such a huge fan maker for us. This year alone, we've entered this beer in 4 competitions, and it's only won 3 gold medals.
Oh, wow.
And then there's a panel about this time of the year every year that's put on by the Great American Beer Festival, the U.S. Open Beer Championships, and RateBeer.com. And that panel takes the top 90 categories of beer produced in the United States, and they select the top 10 in each category.
Okay.
Well, in the Marzen Oktoberfest style, the Lobo Oktoberfest was named #1 for the 2nd year in a row.
There you go.
And that's incredible. I mean, we're beating people like Sam Adams and Sierra Nevada and Firestone Walker and the biggest names out there.
Well, and this is a bit of a shameless plug here, guys, but if you're keeping up with my YouTube channel, you'll see that I've been doing this process where I'm going through all the Oktoberfest brews that you can generally get in this part of town. I'm doing 3 beers a week, and I haven't crowned my overall champion yet. I got 1 week left to go. But in its category of 3, the Lobo Hefeweizen was just, this is an excellent beer, I can tell you beforehand. So I'm going in with a little bias, but I'm telling you guys, if you can find this where you are, you got to pick it up. See, I think, again, you know, we're talking about the differences between the European and the American styles.
Right.
And when I tried like the Weihenstephaner and a few of the sort of the German ones, they're malt forward, but they're kind of different. I found that a lot of the American ones are super toasty. It's like you find a good flavor, but some people just way overdo it. And what I love about this is you can see the heritage and the flavors coming through, but it's nice and balanced, and it's clean and it's enjoyable. And guys, I mean, you know, I'm here with Pedernales, and you know, we're working together on this. But guys, you got to try this. You have got to try this beer.
Lobo Oktoberfest.
Sure.
The next beer that we're gonna have you try is the Lobo Midnight Porter, and this is an English style porter as opposed to an American style. With our brewery out here at Pedernales, we really try to make traditional, historic styles of beer. You know, we tell people basically, if you want nuts, fruits, and berries, you're gonna have to go somewhere else.
Right.
We don't do that. But if you want traditional, historic, straight-up beer, then that's what we do, and we feel like that we do that as well as anyone and better than most. So this is a very traditional English-style porter. It's got a really dark color. It's very deep, malty notes.
Yeah.
We used 2 different heavy roasted hop malts for this, in addition to the regular 2-row Pilsner. And it's just so authentic. I tell people, if you slam 3 pints, you'll be speaking with a Cockney accent.
There you go. Let's see how we go with this one.
Very rich mouthfeel.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, again, because, again, growing up with European parents and around Europe a lot, you think of porters and stouts and stuff as being like really kind of deep, really thick, kind of super creamy, and this is an interesting mix because it's fairly light, it's fairly crisp, but it has the flavor profile to it, and it's nice. And again, we talked about the honey earlier. Generally, coffee, I feel like a lot of people are going really overboard, but if I have a stout or a porter that's like super coffee, not my cup of tea, but this has got a nice.
It's just a kiss.
Yeah, just enough to kind of give it some depth without feeling like you're drinking a cup of coffee as opposed to a beer. So
and the other thing with our climate, it rarely gets under 40 degrees.
Right.
A super heavy porter or stout is just not appropriate most of the time here.
Oh yeah.
This beer is just the right weight. Mm-hmm. It's in 40-degree weather, this is perfect. And by the way, in England they like to have Stilton Blue and walnuts with a glass of port.
Right.
Try Stilton Blue and walnuts with a glass of Lobo Midnight Porter.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed.
Well, it's definitely made for the Texan climate, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I'll be back.
Sounds good.
All right, with these 2 beers, the beer on your left is our Lobo Negro, and it's the classic Bavarian Schwarzbier. This particular recipe dates back to 1950 from Bavaria.
Okay.
And this has been our most medal-winning beer. It's won silver at JBF in 2014 and gold in 2015. We've entered this beer in a total of 17 competitions. It's won 8 golds, 2 silver, 3 bronze, and a best of show.
Yeah, so it's okay, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. Well, and I had a young man in here a while back, and he was saying, well, these beer competitions are all so subjective.
Right.
And I said, yes, on a one-on-one competition, they're very subjective. But if you've got a beer that wins 8 gold medals, that's not subjective.
Consistency speaks for itself, right?
Exactly. So please enjoy Lobo Negro.
That's nice. How would you say this compares? Here in Texas, Scheinebach, Ziegenbach, all that kind of stuff. How would that compare with this?
Oh, this is a true German Schwarzbier. This is
it tastes very different.
Yeah.
I was looking at this, and I was kind of getting the background a little. And again, you think of this part of the world, very heavy German influence, and you think of those 2 brands, you see them everywhere around here. And I was thinking, this is kind of like their equivalent of a Scheinebach, but it's not at all. It's completely different.
This is a true Bavarian Schwarzbier. We've had, I don't know how many German people come to our tasting room and taste this beer and say, oh my God, this tastes just like the beer at home.
This is delicious, guys. I came in singing the praise of the Octoberfest, but this is probably my front runner so far. This is a really nice beer.
Well, you're not supposed to have a favorite child, but Lobo Negro is my favorite child.
Well, I can see why, for sure.
Now, this next one is brand new. It was released today.
Oh, wow.
And
Lucky me, right?
Yes, absolutely. This is a new style of beer. We've never even heard of it. We're calling it an Imperial Schwarzbier.
Okay.
So it's coming in at 8% ABV and 60 IBUs. And it's basically Lobo Negro on steroids. So give it a go and let's see what you think. This is a big beer.
Okay, so kind of take the base flavors of this, make it a little thicker, and just add like a little punch of the hops. And you know what? And it kind of tastes the same as the Lobo Negro at the start. And then as you start to take the mouthful in, it's like it just kind of comes like a wave onto your tongue, and you just get this flavor. But again, 60 IBUs. As someone who has seen a lot of issues with over-hopping, it's not over-hopped.
It's balanced.
It's right on the cusp. It's like it gives you this hit of flavor, this rush of flavor, without making you feel like, did I just eat raw hops? Like this. Right. Man, this. You're outdoing yourself every time.
Now, on this beer, we made 100 1/6 barrel slim kegs, and that's it.
Wow.
It'll be 10 for San Antonio, 10 for Dallas, 10 for Houston, 10 for Austin. We keep 25 for the tasting room, and then the rest of them go out 2 and 3 in bits and pieces around the state. So, Corpus gets 2, College Station will get 2, Abilene gets 2.
So, Texas-based fans of Southern Suds, if you see it, drink it while you can, because it's not going to be around for all that long.
No, it's very, very limited, and it's the Pedernales Schwarzendropper. I'll be back.
Awesome.
We're going to hoppy beers next.
Alrighty.
All right, so the last 2 beers that we have today are the 2 of our move to the dark side, to the more bitter beers. This first one is actually a throwback to World War II again, and this is a classic English IPA.
Okay.
And this recipe dates back to 1947. I've had 2 old gentlemen come in that were in their 90s. One flew B-24 bombers with the 8th Air Force out of England, and the other flew B-26s with the 9th Air Force. Both of them, when they tasted this beer, said almost the same thing, and that was, well, I haven't had a beer like this since I was in a pub in England in 1945.
There you go.
So, 70 years, and they still remember that smell.
Yeah, it's nice and floral.
Yeah. It's not at all like American IPA.
No, I mean, again, you can smell enough similarity to know what you're getting into, but it's not this, like, really thick, almost nostril-burning kind of... I'm interested in trying
this. This beer is dry hop. We use the English hybrid hops for this, 3 different hops, and we dry hop this after fermentation.
That's really, again, and this is a running theme I've noticed today is the beers in Pedernales so far, they've all taken kind of the best parts of the flavors and found the right balance. There's never one that I've had that's too coffee, too hoppy, too malty, whatever. It's like a really nice, you get this kind of slightly sweet flavor at the front, and then, once you swap the mouthfeel or the, I guess the aftertaste, it has this really slight hint of like a sweet and bitter going on.
There's some orange zest.
Yeah, it's a really nice combination there.
And this is a great beer with fatty style food.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because the hoppiness of this, again, the hoppiness really cleanses and refreshes. And so if you pair it with something that's got a little fat, it cuts right through it.
Yeah.
And really gets you prepared for the next bite. Now, this last beer is the 4th beer in our Texas Hop Bomb series.
Okay.
And this is a series of Imperial IPAs.
Okay.
They're Smash Imperial. So it's single malt, single hop. This particular one, we're using malt that I've never heard of. It's by the best malting company. It's called Red X.
Okay.
And so it gives you a nice deep color.
Yeah.
And then the hop for this is Citra.
Okay.
And so basically what I've done with these Smash IPAs is that I've challenged my brew crew they get 1 malt and 1 hop, but I still want a world-class beer.
Yeah.
And the other thing is it has to be at least 8% alcohol and has to be at least 80 IBUs.
Oh, wow.
So give this a try, and again, think about the balance that's going on with this beer.
So it smells kind of like more like an amber than an IPA. I mean, so that's interesting.
You get more of the piney conifer type notes in this. That's
nice. So again, we're talking about you get the IBUs are coming through, and there's the bitterness to it, but it's not like prohibitive of enjoyment. Like again, there's a couple. You try some of these craft beers these days, and 3-4 mouthfuls in, all you can taste is bitterness.
That's it. They're unbalanced.
It's a really good balance of beer.
Right. I think our brewmaster here is a fellow named Peter McFarland.
Okay.
And Peter got his master's in fermentation science at the Siebel Institute in 1989.
Okay.
Well, if you want to be a world-class winemaker, you go to UC Davis in California or the University of Bordeaux in France. But if you want to be a world-class brewmaster, you go to the Siebel Institute in Germany or their satellite campus in Chicago. And that's where Peter went. Peter is one of only a relative handful of brewmasters in Texas that's actually a diplomaed brewmaster. And he's one of only 3 that's invited to be a judge at GABF.
Oh, wow.
So
is he over there at the moment?
This year he passed because we needed him. It's Octoberfest here. We sent our head brewer out.
Okay.
But we had other jobs for Peter this year, so we had him here. But he's phenomenal. He's kind of a rock star in the craft beer industry. And so we've been very blessed to have him. Well, that's the lineup of our beers. Basically, from the beginning, our goal was to be known as the benchmark brewery. So it doesn't matter what category of beer it is, just buy it with confidence because it's going to be good.
I've noticed there's some for every, if you're someone who likes all kinds of beers, I would recommend picking up everything. But if you're someone who kind of likes to stick to a category, each of the beers I've had in their respective categories are up there with some of the best I've had in that category. if you're in the Texas area, you know, we live in San Antonio, so it's about an hour out. But if you happen to be in the central Texas area and you don't come out here, you're really missing out. And if you see any of the Pedernales, the Lobo or the Robert L. King on a shelf near you and you don't pick it up, again, you're doing yourself a disservice. I can't